Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Founders in LA podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Cole, and this is an opportunity to shine the spotlight through a product lens on some of the exceptional startup founders we have as part of the LA community in an unedited, one take organic conversation. Our guest today is Annemarie Penny. Thank you for stopping by the studio today, Annemarie.
Hello, I am happy to be here.
All right. Excited to have you. This is going to be a fun one. But first, a word from our sponsors. Founders in LA is brought to you by Unita Club. Unita Club is the co-working space that sets itself apart. With locations in El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, and Hermosa, Unita is where creativity flourishes. Unlike traditional offices, they provide an inspiring environment where ideas can thrive and businesses can grow. With Unita, there's no hidden fees, flexible terms, options for dedicated offices, and unlimited access to conference rooms, a photo studio, a podcast studio, plus standard and 3D printers, and 24/7 access at any of their locations. They're local champions who support neighborhood businesses and open their event spaces to nonprofits and celebrate art, music, and culture. Join Unita Club and experience co-working like never before. Learn more at www.unita.club. That's unita.club. We're also brought to you by the Product Managers Association Los Angeles, available at pma.la. They are the largest professional organization for product designers in LA, with more than 4,000 members from over 500 companies. They host monthly meetups, organize a product leader council, and have a mentorship program where they connect working product managers with students from underrepresented groups to build a more diverse and better next gen. To learn more about PMA, go to pma.la. To learn more about the mentorship program, go to pma.la/mentorship. Our guest today is Annemarie Penny. She's founder of Dreamore. Annemarie, can you give us a 30-second description of Dreamore?
30 seconds. Okay, here we go. Dreamore is a services company with physical locations in the Hollywood Hills and also Malibu, Topanga. So, what we do as our core business is executive search for Southern California startups. I've been in this since the .com go-go 90s, and where we really shine is when you need a very nuanced or challenge search fill to round out your leadership team. We're going to be very focused and targeted. We might only give you a few resumes, and any of those folks could do the job and not only do it, but elevate it. So, we're not staffing. It is a very targeted approach. And when that's what you need, we're very happy to partner with you. We're now offering other services for earlier stage founders and career individuals, which includes workshops and some boost services. So, for as little as $500, we can help you get unstuck or move the needle a little bit. We're not an incubator, but we work great with the investment community because we're really helping folks get ready for that next stage, whether it's fundraising or just elevating your talent pool. As a community builder, the physical locations has always been something that's part of the brand. So in our Hollywood Hills location, we're hosting Dona Lola Wednesdays. So every other Wednesday, if you're a founder or a community executive, please come join us and just have some fun and support each other in business. And then finally, we are breaking ground on 10 acres at the top of Topanga next year. Very excited about this after losing the Malibu Dream House in the Woolsey fire to bring back healing and nature and build business and, have kind of a VIP retreat environment up there at the top of the hill. So stick with us, and we're building great things together.
Yeah, and then you talk about the search for the executives in early stage startups, and that's such an important thing. That building that team out is super critical to have the right people in place, and then it can really derail you if you don't have the right people, or if there's some sort of friction that ends up forcing a break between co-founders or early leaders. That could just derail companies and sometimes kill them.
It's very common. And, being in the startup world, I mean, let's just embrace the fact that not every startup succeeds. But I don't like to use the F word. So I don't call it failure. I use
Right.
the L word. I call it learning. But yeah, at the end of the day, even if you are a product company, companies are made of people, and, we're people. So this is where really getting to know folks on a deeper level and understand what everybody's goals and personalities are, and, really looking to connect them in a way that's meaningful and purposeful. And that very much informs why, I mean, community builders, sometimes it's just throwing a fun party, like we don't always have to talk about business. We can just get together, I was never the person who dated because I don't like those kind of questions. I just want to hang out with you and see what kind of person you really are. So, all of that informs when we're focusing on an executive search need, not only what is your job description and what do you think you need and how much do you think you need to pay for that person, but what kind of people are going to build your culture and elevate your company. That's why I keep using that word elevate, because there's just this magic when the right people come together and not only have skills, but have attitude and have joy. That's where some magic can really be created.
So how'd you find yourself in this place where you've realized that, hey, one of my super skills is connecting people and finding the right person to match to this company at this time. Like, how did you find your place? How did you find yourself dedicating your life to this?
So much about founder life is the intersection of purpose and just randomness. And so I came out to California when I was 19. I had 200 bucks. I built my life here. And I started out in corporate finance with some of the largest employers in the world. So I came out of KPMG, Pete Marwick, had never worked with recruiters before, and ended up changing careers to that because the woman who worked with me and ended up becoming my mentor, she was just this magical person that understood relationships, listened to me, and really, I'm going to have to use that word again, elevated everything about my career at that time. And so I was not a people person. Nobody believes this today. Trust me. I can't even shut up anymore. But in the earlier days, I was so shy and so nerdy and brainy that I actually got into recruiting because I wanted the opportunity to really learn people. And it felt like a safe environment to interact with people in a career goal, and just kind of see how people make decisions and how they make the right decisions and how they learn from that if they make the wrong decisions. And then just accidentally down the street, I moved into this glorious place on the Strand in Manhattan Beach. And I'm just a little girl from Arkansas, and I wanted to share it because it felt selfish to be there and not open it up to other people.
Right.
So that was the foundation of community and relationships and people and building tech companies and creative people. I'm grateful because I would have never had the imagination as a younger person to think this is my life today.
So it sounds like part of what your journey came out of a challenge to yourself to explore a part of yourself that you weren't really familiar with,
Yep.
the interaction with people, and you seems like you weren't a natural extrovert, even though these days it's hard to imagine that you weren't
I
always an
learned
extrovert.
quickly. And it's a feedback loop. I think the other thing, whether you're a founder launching a product or a service, this is so much of the early stage of launching your business is putting it out there, iterating, getting those feedback loops, adapting. And I think I did that instinctively with my social life and my business
Hmm.
life. Whereas now there's so much amazing content for digital marketers and growth strategists to say, look, this is what you do. And then just learn each time you iterate. When people give very positive feedback for, the type of events we're building and the type of startups we're helping to grow, that's just that positive reinforcement just makes you want to do it more.
So it's a great question. It's great to kind of line of thinking as you're getting started, the early stages. How did you find your first few customers? Like, how did you get that start?
I was having this conversation earlier on a LinkedIn thread
Hmm.
that I'm a third time founder, and there are things that I'm grateful for the knowledge of experience because I feel like I'm clearer in some decisions. But there's also things that I miss as a first time founder because I was just too dumb to know any better. So you asked me how did I go find clients? I just asked. It's like, hey, this is what I do. Can I have your business? And now as an older person, I'm like, "Oh god, that sounds so sad and pathetic. I have to come at it a different way." Um, but yeah, I would say no matter what level it is, there is so much power in just asking for what you need. Be confident and almost shameless about that, but don't be
Hmm.
desperate. So much about this is what does that potential customers need? What's their pain point? And get out of your own head and get out of your own need system And if you're not sure what these other folks need and you think they're your potential clients, just ask them. Can I give you an example? I was testing an app that's for a certain integration. I'll spare you that. And there was a founder of one of them, the CEO of the company, pinged me and said, "Hey, I see you're testing my product. What are the features that you like? What can we do?" Now, the CEO is asking me, so I figure, oh, this is such a small company and I'm here to help founders. So let me give you feedback. There's things that you could do better. Your pricing seems expensive, with this wonderful dialogue. And I actually didn't end up using his product because admittedly there was one that was better. But the fact that as the CEO of the company, he was willing and able to shamelessly take the time and ask those questions. And that motivated me to give him so much
Hmm.
information. And the reality is, like, their company name is stuck in my brain, and I'm going to look back at them in a few months and maybe they end up having the better product because they were willing to ask for what my pain points were.
Did you ever go back to them and tell them why you ended up not going with them?
I did.
Because that's like that's the feedback I feel like the founders love the most. I've heard the story too. And some very strong founders are doing this, and we're gonna have a couple coming up on the show where they're like customer obsessed and reaching out to folks on like a personal level
Yeah.
at that point. But one of the hardest things for those, one of the biggest challenges in that early stage of startup is if when people bail and not knowing why they left. So that's great that you're reaching back out and saying, "Hey, this is the honest answer of why I didn't pick this product," because that allows them to grow and learn and elevate their product.
Absolutely. And this has been across the board. I think as a civilization we have gone through some experiences that have made many of us feel more isolated. We're very overwhelmed by technology, and I'm a tech girl, so I love me some automation and AI. But these are tools that we're still learning to use in a way that doesn't dilute our human experience. And so anytime somebody is able to reach out and have a real conversation and a real connection, I think a lot of folks are willing, not only willing to respond to that, but they're craving that.
Mm.
So if there's anything that could come out of this conversation, whether you're a founder or an overwhelmed recruiter or a job seeker, a bit of kindness, a bit of human connection. Not everybody's going to respond to it, but all you need sometimes is just that one person in your day that treats you like a human being back. It makes all the difference.
Oh, that's fantastic. Um, and grounding this in LA, maybe that's part of kind of your southern roots. I'd love to hear girl coming from Arkansas to LA. What's the most LA thing that you've been a part of or you've seen or you've done?
Oh gosh, I've almost always lived by the beach because it was so stereotypical that I'm in the middle of the country and I heard the sound in a seashell and my parents said that's the ocean. And from that moment, at 5 years old, I wanted to be in California.
You were hooked. Yeah.
I was hooked. And so the most quintessentially LA thing recently is that our weekend was involved with a hurricane and then an earthquake, which is so LA. So my housemate and I, she's the queen of the internet, and we just have to get away from our screens sometime on a rainy day. So we stripped down, we jumped in the pool, we splashed around. Yes, there's some very soft focus video, and I'm not going to post it publicly, but you're welcome to ask and ask sweetly. So as we were swimming around, it just felt so much like California dream and energy, right? There's all these challenges. It's scary, it's flooding, but let's get in the pool, let's laugh, let's talk about our content strategy, and just remember why we're doing these things. uh, there's a reason why it's called Dreamore, and the concept of dreaming and imagining and being playful is so fundamental to the serious business that we really do. It's got to be both.
It's like manifest destiny incarnate. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you again so much for coming down here and sharing your story with us, Annemarie. It's Annemarie Penny. She's founder of Dreamore. I'd love to thank our sponsors as PMALA and Unida. I'd like to thank you all for listening to us. And if you like what you hear, please smash that subscribe button.
Smash.
And thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time on Founders in LA.